We do all this marketing, right, for all the Nike athletes, but the one Nike athlete who just happens to be the most marketable, who just happens to be the most noticeable, who just happens to be the most recognizable, who just happens to be the face of women's sports, period. Not the face of the WNBA, she's that too. The face of women's sports, period.
Not the face of the WNBA, she's the face of women's sports, period. Did you see what Nike just pulled the biggest marketing disaster since Bud Light tanked their entire brand? And it's all because they chose to disrespect Caitlin Clark, the hottest name in basketball, like she was some bench play. You can't make this.
When we have her on our roster, even if it's not her commercial per se, let's at least throw her some credit and toss her a bone, shall we? Nike chooses not to even do that.
Star like a dream, Clark front and center in their flashy Super Bowl commercial, looking every bit like the future of women's basketball. And Nike's next superstar fans were hyped social media. Was buzzing Travis Kelce was shouting her out. Even casual sports fans were tuning in, realizing Caitlin Clark is that girl. She wasn't just being introduced as Nike's next face. She was being crowned, but just when it seemed like Nike finally understood her value, they did something so baffling it felt like a deleted scene from Dumb and Dumber. The very next day, Nike dropped a follow-up ad, and guess what? Clark was gone, wiped from existence like she had violated some top-secret company policy.
Wanna know what I'm selling? I'm selling greatness! Asia Wilson, 3-time MVP. We got Jordan Childs, we got Juju Watkins, we got Sha'Carri Richardson.
Okay.
And we got Arena Sabalenka.
Champion.
Hustling is not easy, but I love it. Sabrina, I know you want to cheat. Thinking about it? You're thinking about it. They're gonna go fast, kind of like Sha'Carri. I accept card. Where's the card? Come on.
Oh, wait, but what's in that box?
These don't come out till March. They may or may not be shirts, but if I tell you, I'm going to have to kill you. Oh, you want one of these? Nike.com.
Every other athlete from that Super Bowl spot highlighted PRA named one by one like they were receiving medals, but Clark's silent the face that had fans scrambling to buy jerseys just hours earlier was suddenly treated like a nobody.
Like Nike is definitely in hot water over the Caitlin Clark commercial that appeared a day after the Super Bowl. Now, we all know Caitlin Clark had that big-time commercial that aired during the Super Bowl. Even Travis Kelce reacted to the first one.
One fans didn't just notice, they dictated Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It all blew up. Why is Caitlin Clark missing? Where's Caitlin's name? Nike. Are you serious? Right now, the comment sections were like a live roast session. One fan posted, you make an ad and hype her up, then delete her like we imagine it. She's literally the reason we care. Another one and harder. Nike, you clowns, are fumbling the future Bud Light part.
So Caitlin Clark had her Nike commercial. And, well, she didn't have her Nike commercial. She had one Nike commercial, and then the other one, they went out of her way not to talk about her. They did. They went out of their way to not talk about Caitlin Clark.
This wasn't just a marketing misstep. This was a slap in the face to every basketball fan who's watched Clark revolutionize the game. This is the same player selling out arenas before she's even played a WNBA minute to player whose jersey sales broke records a second. It dropped the one who has ESPN analysts casually mentioning MVP potential before she's taken a pro dribble. Nike had gold in their hands, and they threw it away like a busted sneaker. And while Nike was erasing Clark, other brands were racing to align with her. Gatorade, Wilson, State Farm, even Panini trading cards. They saw the future. They saw Caitlin Clark, Nike. They were busy fumbling the bag. But here's the best part. Wait until you hear how Nike tried to cover this up. It's so ridiculous you'd think Angel Reese was running their PR team. Spoiler alert made everything worse.
Nike. Oh my God. Nike. Folks, sometimes it's just unbelievable. It's I don't even know. I'm speechless. I am speechless with
It wasn't just die-hard fans calling out Nike's disaster industry experts. We're floored too. The people who literally build brands for a living were all saying the same thing. Caitlin Clark is the most marketable athlete in women's sports right now, and Nike just tossed her aside like she was nothing. Talk about fumbling the bag. These aren't random Twitter accounts. These are marketing professionals and sports analysts who know what it means to have a once-in-a-generation star, and they were all staring at Nike like, how do you mess this up? You got gold in your hands, and instead of building a legacy, you drop it on the floor and step on it.
In typical Caitlin Clark fashion, Caitlin Clark's Voldemort. They can't say Voldemort's name. Cheryl Swoops can't say Caitlin Clark's name.
One analyst even said Clark could be the Steph Curry of women's basketball in terms of commercial impact. Think about that. Curry changed the sneaker game. For under a hour, Nike had a chance to do the same with Clark, and they blew it. But here's the thing. Nike's initial mistake was bad, but what they did next turned into a full-scale marketing disaster, because instead of owning like a billion-dollar company, they panicked full meltdown mode. And their attempt to fix this, it made everything 10 times worse. They put a commercial out. And if you guys did not hear, they released a quote-unquote director's cut. And by the way, this is my favorite thing of all. Picture this. Someone at Nike must have thought they could slap a quick Band-Aid on the wound. So they took the original Super Bowl ad and tried to retroactively cram Caitlin Clark's name in. But it wasn't a slick edit. It was a butcher job.
Somebody said, so you make an ad and you mention everyone except Caitlin Clark. She is the reason for all of the hype. Show the respect she deserves. Can't wait for CC to go to another brand that will respect her. Your history is bookmarked.
So let's take a listen to this. Let's take a listen to this. Nike actually put this one out after the fact. You want to know what I'm selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want to TOK Nike. They re-recorded it. Like, that's not even, that's like, listen to it. They threw a voiceover into the ad, hastily forcing in a line about Clark, like it was some last-minute homework assignment. And the result, pure comedy. The voice didn't match the speaker lips at all. It was like watching one of those old-school kung fu movies where the mouth is still moving 5 seconds after the word stop. Fans were watching jaws dropped, asking, did Nike just dub over their own commercial like a bad tick? Tox get the line, Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want to TOK Nike. Was so awkward and forced, it felt like someone recorded it in their car on the way to work. Sorry, Ego. They say, hey, Ego, can you just send us a couple lines? Voicemail, email, a voice note, memo note. Whatever the case, maybe just send us a couple lines, and we'll throw the voiceover interview saying Caitlin Clark. And everybody will be happy, right? Everybody will be happy, right? Social media had a field day. The comments roasted Nike like never before. One fan asked, did they make her send in a voicemail for this? Another joke. Y'all thought we wouldn't notice the bad dub. Nike's on the Bud Light path. Meanwhile, brands like Adidas and Under Armour were probably popping champagne, watching their biggest rival set itself on fire. Nike thought they were fixing the problem. Instead, they made sure this fumble became legendary. At the end of the day, everybody cheered because we had a little Caitlin Clark came on a commercial, so this should be enough. So this is what they ended up doing with Caitlin Clark. You want to know what I'm selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want to TOK Nike. Now, you might be thinking, okay, maybe it wasn't that bad, right? But it was worse. Fans were jokingly calling it the director's cut.
Ego. They say, hey, Ego, can you just send us a couple lines? Voicemail, email, voice note, memo note, whatever the case may be. Just send us a couple lines and we'll throw the voiceover in of you saying Caitlin Clark, and everybody will be happy, right? But
let's be honest, it was more like the desperate cut. Nike looked like that kid in class who forgot their homework and tried to scribble something down 5 minutes before the bell, except in this case the homework was a multi-million-dollar ad campaign and to teach the entire basketball world think. Listen, they voice over it. Sal, Rookie of the Year. Caitlin Clark, she's not, I know you want to take. Okay, she's not even talking like she's one, she's silent. And two, it's a voice over silent Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want to. So someone edited that in post-production. But here's where it goes from embarrassing to downright unbelievable. This isn't just about a clumsy voiceover or a bad edit job. This is about a global powerhouse like Nike, known for setting the standard in sports marketing, fumbling their crisis management so badly. It's almost impressive they had a golden opportunity to own up to their mistake, put their hands up, and say, hey, we blew it, we're sorry, Caitlin Clark deserves better. Instead, they chose the corporate version of My Dog Ate My Homework. How ridiculous is this? How ridiculous is this, folks? They had her send in a voice memo. They had her watch this. You want to know what I'm selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want to. Okay, Nike. Calm, this is Riddick. It's Crisis PR 101. Admit fault, show accountability, and move forward. But Nike skipped that class. They tried to patch over the damage with that awful voice dub, hoping fans wouldn't notice. Spoiler alert, they noticed. And the experts noticed 2 marketing professionals weren't kind. They shredded Nike's response. One PR consultant even called it one of the worst crisis responses I've seen from a major brand in years. These are the same people who praise Nike's iconic "Just Do It" campaigns, ads that inspire generations of athletes, and now the same experts are telling Nike, just don't freaking goes over here walking in the middle of New York City. Sending a voice note, Kayla Clark, Rookie of the Year. I know you want to eat, oh man. This is disastrous. This is disastrous again. Think about it. This is a company that gave us Michael Jordan's Air Jordans, a company that turned Serena Williams into a global icon, a company that built campaigns that made kids believe they could fly, and now they're out here dubbing over their biggest rising star. Fans weren't just disappointed. They were furious. The backlash hit social media like a tidal wave. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everywhere you scrolled, you saw the same thing. Fans calling Nike out for disrespecting Caitlin Clark. One tweet went viral. Nike, you're a bunch of clowns. Why wasn't Caitlin's name said? That comment just the tip of the iceberg of frustration was real. This wasn't just about a commercial. Anymore, it felt personal, like Nike had taken the player fans were rallying behind and treated her like an afterthought, folks. We have footage of her saying nearly every word in the other commercial. Yet in this commercial, we just have her going, you can't make this up to the WNBA. Writes themselves, the WNBA nonsense. Writes itself, Nike writes itself. These people just can't get out of its own way. It's funny to watch. And now the million-dollar question, what's next for Caitlin Clark and Nike will Clark? Stick around with a company that valued her about as much as a clearance rack t-shirt, or will she realize it's time to lace up with a brand that actually knows how to spell her name without needing a last-minute voiceover? Because one thing is clear, Nike didn't just fumble, they burned the whole playbook, and everyone's watching what Clark does next. They went in a lab, and they redid this commercial. They definitely redid it, did a voiceover. On it, they had to fix it, they definitely had to fix it. It wasn't just everyday fans getting heated. Content creators were all over this disaster, like Angel Reese on a missed layup, YouTubers, TikTokers, and sports commentators pounced, dissecting every second of Nike's blunder like it was game tape. One YouTuber didn't hold back, saying Nike will never beat these accusations, and even suggested Caitlin Clark should dump the brand entirely. Imagine that the same company that was supposed to be elevating Clark was now being told to cut her loose. At the end of the day, Nike is Nike, folks. Nike is Nike, oh. But they put a poster in Angel Reese territory. Angel Reese isn't a Nike athlete. This would mean a little bit something if it was a Nike athlete running down on a Nike athlete in her own territory. Then we got some. This is Nike claiming real estate that they've already claimed. Think about how wild that is. Nike, the company that built its legacy by attaching itself to greatness, was now being seen as the brand holding back the future of women's basketball. And this wasn't just angry tweets. This was real talk from people who shape public opinion. The narrative was shifting fast. Yeah, it is. It's just so funny. Nike's just fumbling of Caitlin Clark. Like this wouldn't, by the way, like I wouldn't be complaining that much about this if it wasn't for the fact that like Nike are out there basically saying that one of the big reasons why they're failing is because of the lack of their signature L. And when the experts chime in, it only got worse. Veteran sports analysts, the ones who've seen every marketing play in the book, were straight up baffled. One of them shook his head on air and said, Nike just can't get out of their own way. You know it's bad when the people who usually praise your brand like it's gospel are comparing your decisions to a star player bricking wide. Open-end layups, the pressure was building. Like a fourth quarter comeback, every refresh of Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok brought a fresh wave of outrage. Nike, once the epitome of cool, the brand that made Michael Jordan a global icon, was suddenly looking more clueless than Angel Reese. From three-point range, fans were roasting them, analysts were dragging them. It felt like the whole internet had turned into one giant "what is Nike doing" thread. Because of lack of their signature line, they are failing like LeBron's aren't selling as much. All of these like signature lines are not selling enough. And you got one signature line that you know for a fact is going to sell an absolute shitload, and you don't have it. But here's where it gets crazy. This wasn't just trending for a day and dying down. It was escalating fast. The volume of negative feedback was so overwhelming. You could practically hear Nike's marketing department sweating through your screen. You could feel the panic, the desperate how do we fix this energy. Radiating from Beaverton HQ, people imagine the scene Nike's team huddle around Mike scrambling like, quick, someone say Caitlin Clark's name will fix it in post. This wasn't just a marketing misstep anymore. It became a symbol of something bigger. Disrespect toward the athlete fans were rallying around. And now the real question was hanging over everything. What does Caitlin Clark do next? So somebody said they put her in the directors. Cut, bro, you can't make this is up. No, there wasn't no director. Cut, that was a voiceover from a heat that they was receiving online for people like me and other content creators calling them out. And even y'all on Twitter calling them out for leaving Caitlin Clark out of this damn commercial. Does she stick with a brand that treated her like an afterthought? Or does she say up with a company that actually gets it? Because the experts are already predicting this could have lasting damage to Nike's reputation in women's sports marketing. And let's be honest, every other brand is watching this unfold with their checkbooks wide open. Adidas, Under Armour, Puma. They're all circling ready to offer Clark the respect and recognition Nike failed to deliver. If Clark walks away, it'll send shockwaves through the entire industry. Because this is no longer just about a botched ad, it's about respect. It's about recognizing the future of women's basketball. And right now, Nike looks like they're still stuck in the past. Do you agree? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.
Yeah, it is. It's just so funny. Nike's just fumbling of Caitlin Clark. Like, this wouldn't, by the way, like, I wouldn't have that much of I wouldn't be complaining that much about this if it wasn't for the fact that, like, Nike are out there basically saying that one of the big reasons why they're failing is because of a lack of their signature line.
So let's take a listen to this. Let's take a listen to this. Nike actually put this one out after the fact. You want to know what I'm selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want to TOK Nike. They re-recorded it. Like, that's not even, that's like, listen to it. They threw a voiceover into the ad, hastily forcing in a line about Clark, like it was some last-minute homework assignment. And the result, pure comedy. The voice didn't match the speaker lips at all. It was like watching one of those old-school kung fu movies where the mouth is still moving 5 seconds after the word stop. Fans were watching jaws dropped, asking, did Nike just dub over their own commercial like a bad tick? Tox get the line, Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want to TOK Nike. Was so awkward and forced it felt like someone recorded it in their car on the way to work. Sorry, Ego. They say, hey, Ego, can you just send us a couple lines? Voicemail, email, a voice note, memo note. Whatever the case, maybe just send us a couple lines, and we'll throw the voiceover interview saying Caitlin Clark. And everybody will be happy, right? Everybody will be happy, right? Social media had a field day. The comments roasted Nike like never before. One fan asked, did they make her send in a voicemail for this? Another joke. Y'all thought we wouldn't notice the bad dub. Nike's on the Bud Light path. Meanwhile, brands like Adidas and Under Armour were probably popping champagne, watching their biggest rival set itself on fire. Nike thought they were fixing the problem. Instead, they made sure this fumble became legendary. At the end of the day, everybody cheered because we had a little Caitlin Clark came on a commercial, so this should be enough. So this is what they ended up doing with Caitlin Clark. You want to know what I'm selling? Rookie of the Year, Caitlin Clark. I know you want to TOK Nike. Now, you might be thinking, okay, maybe it wasn't that bad, right? But it was worse. Fans were jokingly calling the director's cut. Because
of a lack of their signature line, they are failed. Like, LeBron's aren't selling as much. All of these, signature lines are not selling enough. And you've got one signature line that you know for a fact is going to sell a absolute shitload, and you don't have it.